start recording. So everything I had done was completely fine. It was simple. There were just it was 2 of the UDP settings. So all your plugins, and then we need to put your computer in the endpoint, and then add that endpoint for the iOS device, and with a colon 6666 at the end. One other setting to change is this. If you search for render buffer or just the word buffer, you need to change this pixel format from 10-bit to 8-bit. This is just because it's streaming from Unreal, my computer, is streaming back to here, and it has to change to the format that fits an iOS device. So it's changing it to a mobile format. So now when I go to Live Link, source, message bus, it shows up as intended beforehand. And I spent time working on it. It was very frustrating when it didn't work. So let's go back to the map where I set it up. Let's take a look at, well, we could just do it at this map, which was, again, using the VR basic template. We'll even start from scratch because it's really quick. You're going to go to virtual production, this virtual camera 2 actor. The actor itself is just a regular camera with all your standard camera settings, right? You can make it a wide angle lens. And then kind of wherever I want to start off is where it's going to begin, right? So if I start the camera there, and then whenever this thing turns on, that's where it's going to be. And then from there, I can move around inside the room. So let's take a look at the component. So you open it up a little bit, you can see all the components inside. And here's the VCam special sauce. We're going to enable it. All right, so now I'm piloting it, right? It's full screen. I'm going to come down to this thing that says output providers. We need to twirl down to 0, and say activate. This is going to put on the screen the UI of the device, right? So we're saying activate. My UI is up there, and then now we come back to our message bus source, bring it in. It's green, which means it's transmitting. I haven't hit connect yet. Just this screen right here is transmitting, and then say iPad. Cool. Then I think simulate or play both work. I'll just do play. Oh, and I have to hit connect. Let me actually hit stop and see if I can. I just want to see if it works just inside the editor.
Oh, that is so much better.
All right.
Wow.
So now we hit play. Everything we're doing is being tracked. All right. So I'm seeing the same thing. You guys seeing? Actually, I'm not seeing the same thing. I'm seeing absolutely nothing. It has the wrong resolution. We'll fix that. What's kind of cool about this is that one person can be operating the camera itself, and yes, we could choose f-stops and we could choose all that kind of stuff. But also, the whole screen is clickable too. So whoever's at the Unreal computer can click on the screen and also be an assistant, because there's only so much you can do with your hands on the screen. So I have to unlock the record. So I can hit record. Make sure take recorder is open. I don't need anything in there. It automatically will add the camera to take recorder. Okay. So if I hit record button, again, this is the wrong resolution. I'll look into that for other class. Let record here. Then everything I'm doing is inside take recorder. Going away, going forward, and then hit stop. And then this is take recorder. We've looked at it very briefly. Obviously, we can have our motion capture performer, anything we want to record, right? So if we want to record, when we do next week, we do live show control. We want to turn lights off and on and change colors of things in live show control. We throw that into take recorder as well. You just drag items in, throw them in there, and then we'll record any properties that change throughout the take. Right, so and then you can create little presets. So you could say, here's a preset for these 2 characters in this camera, and then we could choose it real quickly. There's a few settings here. Normally we do 30 frames per second. It can be whatever you want. You have your scene number, your take number, and then to see what the take I just did, it says eyeball. It'll zoom in to the previous take, and then I can scrub and see everything I just did. By default, previous takes are locked. If you want to get in there and mess around with keyframes, unlock it, that's it. and now you have access to it. So I have this camera. Let's come back to a live empty take. And let's do just a second one for the hell of it. We'll hit record again. This time I'll look the other way. Down, up, whatever. Cool. You're going to hit stop here. And now we can review that take as well. We're looking the other direction. Makes sense. Making everyone nauseated. And so if I want to find the folder where everything is, I hit this little show takes browser. Here's those takes I just did. They both have cameras, so they can be loaded into another sequencer. I can say cinematics add a level sequencer. This is a scratch project. It's not the one we're sharing because I just don't want to mess it up and add a bunch of stuff to it. So let's make a new sequencer. Say save. And now when I create my shots track, I can find those takes I just made. All right, O2. We give it more meaningful name if we want to. Dock that. So there's this shot. And then I can bring in the next shot. Let's see. 3 is fine. And then we can mess around with it. We can cut them any way we want to. And now we're editing together our virtual camera shots, right? We can chop them up and trim them. Right, edit, trim. And we can start putting together our shots from everything we've done previously. And then if we want to get into the sequencer here, you double click on there. And then we see that we have this virtual camera actor, and even that has its own sequencer. And we can go inside of there and we can see all the keyframes. We can delete them, edit them. There's a smoothing function if we want to reduce the amount of keyframes. And then the kind of the thing that we'll get into later on is this little you can barely see it on the projection screen. There's a lightning bolt on the virtual camera actor. That means it's being spawned, which means I can drag the sequencer into any map, and it'll be the same sequencer in that map, and that map, and that map. So when we're doing mocap, we can either possess the character that's in this map, right? There's two things. Spawning means it will show up no matter what, and possessing means you take over what's actually there. It'll become more apparent to us why you would do one or the other. Spawning means that if you do your mocap performance in one map and you want to do it in another map, you just drag in the sequencer, and now you're doing it in that map. It seems like you'd always want to do that, but sometimes you don't want to have if you're using a live performer, you don't want to spawn additional characters with them. You want to have just the one performer who's live there. So you just want to take over their character and possess it. These are all in the settings. If you go to the gear at the very top, you could say the record type is spawnable or possessable. And it's really not that important for what we're doing, but it is a huge breakthrough for me. I understand why we have different options. And again, by default, it just records every single frame of every single adds keyframe for every single feature that's in every single track. You can be more meticulous and go down and say, oh, my virtual camera, I only care about recording like the transform, or I just want the focus from it. And you can alleviate the amount of you hold down shift, it'll twirl on everything. You can say, oh, I only want focus, I only want certain things from here. So there's a lot of settings there. We're not really going to worry about dialing it in, but the important thing to know is that if you want to record your motion capture performer, you just take it from Outliner, drag it in, and do it. Cool? So, again, you can do it from iOS. It's going to be super tiny, but you can still use it. And again, you can always just use this as the motion capture and then use the screen to actually move it around and stuff. Alan, you.
It's sort of question you already, but everybody ever go from the motion capture and take them, film the actor acting live, and then take that image data to then type into take the motion off the motion capture, but also filming live with an iPad type of thing. At the same time.
Well, I don't know if you could hack into the iPad to make it do both recording regular camera and also be the virtual camera at the same time. Right? Because that would be two apps that'd be open at the same time that would be actively transmitting data. But it is cool in that. So the downside of this virtual camera system is that it doesn't let me choose what is giving it positional data. It's only doing ARKit. It's only doing spatial reasoning based off of things in the room. It's not letting me override it and use the OptiTrack. I have Velcro here to put OptiTrack markers on here, and make it absolute so that if, if like Grant's right there and he's an avatar, I can say, oh, avatar, Grant. That's super cool. They deprecated that in 4.2.6. This one, it's only wherever you have it starting off is where it will relatively move from there. And then, of course, you can mess up, like you can hold it over the camera, and obviously it's not tracking at that moment. So it's not as accurate, but it'll be good enough for us to at least get something down, and then we can either move the person around or move, because this is, now that this is completely editable, this track, while it only did, this camera move, these things, let me actually hit it stop. Okay, these things, let's take away the is active real quick. And you check. Everything in here is also still animatable. We can come back and continue to futz with it. And it's also cool because, like, again, if you have like a VR headset connected, you can actually like walk around and see what you're doing. Let's see. So now it's unlocked. Is it not movable? Anyway, creating whoa, creating problems. Okay. Anyway, so virtual camera works.